Uh, I'm reading about a pasam, passamezzo antico, which is a chord progression. Goes from the 1 to the 7 to the 1 to the 5 to the 3 to the 7 to the 1 to the 5 to the 1. If it's in the key of A minor, that'd be A minor to G, A minor to E, C, G, A minor, E, A minor. A variant of this is the Romanesca, which would be C, G, A minor, E, C, G, A minor, E, A minor. Or green sleeves, in other words. Nice, huh? Now pass some mezzo moderno. Here we go. 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. So, for example, C major, the progression is as follows: C, F, C, G, C, F, C, G, C. Wow, stunning. Sounds a bit like Donald, where's your trousers? No, that's wrong. That's no, I disagree with that one. That's not true. What the hell's this one? Interesting. That's good. I know I've got that one. It's good to know I've got this. Well, so looking a bit into musical theory. I've known about it for ages. I read a book about it. If you play an A minor chord, sounds sad. You play a C chord, sounds boring. You play an A minor and then a C chord and then back to the A minor, you're sad, bored, sad, bored, sad, bored. It's like being in a marriage, really. Then there's the circle of fifths. Let's see if we can do it. From G to D to A to E to B to F sharp to C sharp to G sharp to D sharp to A sharp to F to C to G. And we're back in the room. You see how that works? It's kind of boring, but it's kind of interesting. Musical theory. See, the Europeans came up with that. Only in the last 1,000 years. I may have discussed this earlier. Putting different frequency of waves, sound waves together, create an emotional response in human beings, unless you haven't noticed. And the Europeans created a system for it. Culminating in the Well-Tempered Clavier by Bach, where he gave an example. I think it's not totally sure about this. It's a bit fuzzy in my memory. Where he gave an example in each key, I think it was, of a musical piece, utilizing all the elements of the musical theory. Or you can look it up on Wikipedia. The musical elements of that harmony. Another thing that's very interesting is something called modulation. You may have noticed this, I'm sure you've noticed this in songs, just when you're listening to a song, it seems like you're in a key. This is in the key of G, and then suddenly the center of the song seems to have shifted. Maybe the chorus seems to be in the key of another chord, like D perhaps, and that gives it an excitement and a flavor. And I'm definitely going to add more of that to I already had sort of instinctively, because I always just choose the chords, whatever sound next will sound good together. That's always the best way to write music. Whatever sounds good. The theory can give you, certainly don't be chained to the theory. That's the worst possible thing you can do. Because in fact, it's aberrations from that musical theory that give the music some vim, some vist. Some vist? This is an Icelandic word. I'm not going to bother to go in and defining it for you. Some zest and vim. Vist. It's a portmanteau word. Portmanteau, I don't know how to pronounce that. But I do know the word, and that's good enough to impress people of my intellect, hopefully. Now, okay, now I'm right in the middle of writing another musical based on Scotland, my place of birth. I've been writing a song every day, and it's quite good. Yesterday I wrote a song about the fact that I gave a list of ships built on the Glasgow Clyde shipyards, the Clyde shipyards, where my grandfather used to work, and also a list of ships built in Belfast, about 8 of them, with dates next to those ships, because the dates are when those ships sank, unlike the ships built in Glasgow. For example, the Titanic was built in Belfast, and I wrote a song about if the Titanic was built in Glasgow, and anyway, it's hard to explain. What else have I done? Yes, Robert Burns was a tax collector. I've written a lot of traditional Scottish folk songs based on collecting tax. That's a real sexy one, that one. That really gets the hackles up. Gets the blood raising within you, coursing through your veins, ready for the gallop. Ugh. My body's falling apart. I saw this incredibly disturbing BBC television programme yesterday where they were testing these people. There's one poor chap, he was 51, and they gave him a bunch of medical tests, and they discovered that his actual physical age of his body was 74. Which took him aback, really, seeing the average age, I think, is 78 for the death for a male. He had basically 4 years left to live. It was a bit of a shock for the chap. I mean, everybody else was howling with laughter around him. Especially the TV presenters. They were on the floor. Tears were streaming out of their eyes. You've got 4 years left to live. We just sprang it on you in the middle of our show. Now you have to pretend you're not worried about it because you don't want to look stupid in front of the entire nation. You cretin. I told you not to sign up for this show. But you didn't believe me, did you? Well, I didn't tell you, but I insinuated that you shouldn't sign up for this show with hand gestures behind your back, which, if you had mirrors with you, like we should all have, then you would have noticed them, but you didn't, because just like your age, you're a completely and utterly incompetent person who's about to die very soon. Other than that, we like you. Please come back. And no, your fee is not tax deductible. Now, where the hell was I? Just going off. I haven't done this for a while. I went to tropical island last week. That was good. Truly is, tropical islands really can't really get much better than that, can you? I mean, you couldn't believe this beach. It was absolutely covered in plastic, but beautiful. The one we eventually ended up on was an island of this exquisitely ivory-coloured, white, pristine sand, turquoise water. Absolutely stunning. Of course, I had to hide from the sun because I don't tan, I stroke. It just peels off me like a snake shedding. I've never been brown in my life. Just goes from see-through pasty to inflamed anus red. It's not a good look. Oh, it's just my forehead. My prominent bulbous forehead goes all red. Then my long, phallic-looking nose goes all red. And the rest of me doesn't go red. So I look like a baboon's anus. Remember those designer jeans in the 1980s? Sergio Valenti, Jordache. What the hell else was it? Basically those two. Calvin Klein, but they had the sort of design on the pockets. Basically the design on the pockets say, look at my arse. But no, it's classy because they're designer. Even though you are looking at my arse, it's not in any way jaded or, not turgid, but sordid. It's certainly not sorted. It's not sorted. Turgid, sultry. Can't think of the word. I'm sorry. I tried. Right now, I'm fishing around my synapses trying to remember the fucking word. That's what you do, really, isn't it? You're looking in your brain to find a word. What is that bloody word? Still sorted. It's tawdry. That's the fucking word. Tawdry. Not turgid, not sordid. Turge, sod. Tawd. Re. Tawdry. Yes. So, yeah, we're not tawdry looking at the buttocks of young women. No, it was because they were designer, you see. They had designs on the pockets. So they were designer. Therefore, it had absolutely nothing to do with their buttocks. Nothing to do with it. It was all about design. And Sergio Valenti. Yes, that's what it was about. It was a love of design. And Sergio Valenti and his design. Nothing to do with the young lady's buttocks whatsoever. And Jordache. Yes. Jordache. And then they've got Lee. More simple that, isn't it? Just monosyllabic. Lee. They're Chinese, perhaps. I don't know, Korean. But you had the designer jeans. I remember them. I remember people smugly wearing them. Yes, I'm wearing these tight. Look at my buttocks. Yes, I'm smugly wearing these, pretending that you're not looking at my buttocks, and I'm just wearing them because they're fashionable. It's absolutely nothing to do with me parading my buttocks around and my shapely hips, especially for the young men with the shapely hips. Because then you had young men wearing them as well. Also, advertising their buttock shape, gallivanting around with giant neon signs emanating from each buttock. Look at me. And the one next to me. One on their own isn't so good, is it? One buttock. Cool, look at the buttock on her. No, that's unless, well, there's definitely a niche for that sort of thing in the recesses of the pornographic fucking internet, let's be honest. But on the whole, most people are not attracted to only one buttock.